William Butler Yeats, calling himself the last romantic, was dreaming boyhood days as the force of his life unsteadied. He and his wife, nicknamed George, had a rental in Italy when he wrote a letter to Lady Elizabeth Pellum, in fact, to whom he could be frank. It was 4 January 1939. It seems I have found what I wanted. When I try to put all into a phrase, I say, man can embody truth, but he cannot know it. I must embody it in the completion of my life. Then he revealed where his heart lay. The abstract is not life, and everywhere draws out its contradictions. At last he argued, you can refute Hegel, but not the saint of the Song of Sixpence. He believed he was Ireland's ancient lionhearted Cuchulain, because a dream came to him he thought strange that George wrote down. About this, Seamus Heaney, the next great Irish poet, said, one of the greatest ever deathbed utterances was Cuchulain Comforted, a poem in which Cuchulain enters the underworld and is ritually initiated into a ghostly fellowship of cowards and outcasts. Then, in a mysterious transformation, all these spirits begin to sing until, through the action of song, their throats change, and they have the throats of birds. Seamus Heaney goes on, and by using the terza rima form, a 3-line triple-rhyming stanza which he had never before employed in over half a century of composing verse, by using it at this precise moment on the verge of death, Yeats was awakening new music from the ancient harp of a European poetic tradition, to treat the theme of the spirit's journey to the land of the dead, and to do it in a terza rima, the meter of the Divine Comedy, was to call the great poets of Western civilization to keep a vigil at his bed. Homer had sent Odysseus down, Virgil had sent Aeneas, Dante had sent himself in a dream, and now Yeats was sending his shadow self in the form of Cuchulain. What he was experiencing was being given form and meaning even as it was happening. It was as if Shakespeare had arranged to die not years after the end of his stage career, but during the production of the Tempest. At the moment when Prospero declares that he will break his staff and drown his book. It is this dramatic genius and unifying purpose that give Yeats' work its glamour and concentration. Everything is gathered into the artifice, and the artifice is all transformative and dynamic, part of an action of self-completion and self-renewal. The energy and containment are just equal to each other, so there is exhilaration in being near to the vitality of it all. Reading Yeats, I can feel at times a transmission of dangerous force, such as I felt as a child standing alone in fields, close to the tremble of the electric poles under the sizzle of the power lines. As Willie weakened, George, ever by his side now, joined by 2 of his noble women friends, Dorothy Wellesley, a lesbian, and Edith Shackelford Held, also with a woman partner. George would dryly refer to the 3 of them as the 3 widows. A shard of his very last poem in wild scrawl was, think all a vision of the air, but will they soon be merely this? Not yet, my son, not yet. So there they were, the heroes unwarm form after the coma. Close by, a copy of one of his greatest poems, The Circus Animal's Desertion, accounting for a lifetime of quests and conjuring up plays and shows to this final moment. But now I must lie down where all the ladders start, in the foul rag and bone shop of the heart. The heart, where it all starts. The same word in the final line of the poem he wrote when he was just 23. I hear it in the deep heart's core. Heart is home. George, ever kind, generous, calm and quiet, handed Edith Willie's pen. She gave Lady Wellesley a copy of The Death of Cuchulain. He died already, said Seamus Heaney. His last poems and letters display no drift or waver. They maintain the posture of active approach, and the voice that speaks in them is the voice of one consciously dramatizing his condition rather than one pathetically enduring it. And at stroke of midnight, God will win, he wrote. His stone, cast a cold eye on life, on death, horsemen pass by.